Happy weekend, everyone. This is Nat. I'm actually living in Sydney, but my background is from Thailand. As you can see from my Facebook page or YouTube, you will see a lot of Thai letters flying around or Thai clips or my friends commenting, respond to my post in Thai, which is good. I like that. Um, Anyway, the purpose of me making this video is just to want to share with you how me and my husband actually make our ends meet by looking into controlling our expenses, not income. When I heard about the word make ends meet, I always feel like people try to earn more in order to cover their own expenses or try to live comfortably by looking into more sources of income. Somebody that I see work 2 jobs, somebody even do 3, but they don't even have a savings. And in my opinion, is if we are not that close, it's quite rude to go and ask them, oh, what have you been doing with your money? Where are they all gone? I wouldn't ask my friend that because I either lose a friend or get a punch. So I will try to avoid doing that basically. But for me and my partner, when we look into managing our savings or try to save more, instead of looking into going out to do more work or looking for the second job, like personally I can't do it because I'm studying part-time in the afternoon after work, and I also have other commitments due in the weekend, so it's impossible for me to go out and look for the second, third or fourth job. And I'm not an early bird, so it is unlikely that I'm gonna go and make a coffee in a coffee shop at 6 o'clock and run to work at 8 o'clock. That's so not me at all. So what are we doing then? So we sat down and we thought through the whole process on how should we do with our life to just basically have some savings, pay off the mortgage, and have some money left to travel, probably go back to Thailand or go back to his home country. So then it came down to the 3 steps that we thought it is worth doing, and we did do it. I've been naughty from time to time, but my partner's been very good. And these 3 steps that I would like to share with you in this video clip, I think the 3 steps are super awesome. And if you can just play along with it and you've done it well, I think in 3 months, 6 months, or even a year from now, you will see a lot of financial stability within your household. My first thing that we do, the first thing that we do is we just sit down one day and write down all of our expenses that we have to pay in the whole year. So for me, weekly expenses is actually the short-term expenses that will incur. Monthly, quarterly, and yearly. These 3 are the long-term expenses. How can I determine what is long-term expense and what is short-term expenses? I compare the expenses that come out with my pay cycle. And just so you know, guys, the numbers that you see all here on these videos, they are all the mock number. And the reason why I choose the salary at $600 a week, it is because that was the rate that I received when I was in retail a while ago, and I think it was the rate that most of the full-time workers received minimally. You should receive minimally $600 a week if you work 40 hours or 40 hours a week. I hope that makes sense. So and that $600 is the money that come into your bank account, not the money plus tax plus super. So technically, we are talking about a person who earns $15 an hour, like the real money coming into your bank account, the net income. So that actually, yeah, if you earn $15 an hour and you work 40 hours a week, this plan will suit best for you. But on the other hand, if you earn less than $15 an hour, or you earn more than $15 an hour but you work less hours a week, you're supposed not to have the whole lot of the expenses, because it doesn't make sense. You shouldn't have that much responsibility. If you have very small amount of income, then you have to seriously looking into what went wrong or what are the causes of your expenses. So now get back to my writing out all of the known expenses per annum. And this $600 income that I calculate, it just from me, one person. It is the reason why, even though I am living with my partner, we don't actually, in this slide, I'm thinking about a person who still living alone, like the bachelor. So when you look at this slide, if I put two incomes in it, you're gonna say, well, you can say that, right? Because you have two incomes coming in, but I have one. And also, if I make two people money combined, expense will be longer too, and it will look super complicated. I tried it last night and it doesn't work. It looked so complicated even to me. And another thing is that I don't want to put two incomes in the household in this slide example, because how can you control the other person's or your partner's expenses, and how can you tell that he actually tell you everything or jot down everything? That's another disadvantage of putting two income in this example. So for me, I think I just want to keep it simple. One income is good enough. Now get back to my number one. Write out all of the known expenses. My weekly expenses pretty much are the taxi to uni, the comfort food like Thai food, pearl milk tea. If you know me well, you will know I love bubble milk tea very, very much. And the biggest part of my weekly expense is this little guy, Opal card. I don't drive, so I can only travel either by bus, train, or ferry. And I usually spend a lot of money on travel because I travel from home to work, and if I have time, I travel by bus from work to uni. But if I'm running out of time, like this semester, the schedule is pretty tight, so I have to take taxi to uni every Monday. Then my weekly expenses is roughly around $200 a week. Just one thing I want to point out before I go further to the longer term expenses. When we talk about the expenses, I want you to write out all of the expenses that actually coming out of your pocket, without looking at the fact that those expenses will be reimbursable from your tax lodgement at the end of the year or at the end of the period, or reimbursed from your company or FBT effect. Don't look at that. Just look at what is coming out every week, month, quarter, or year. Because if you are looking that you're gonna get it back, then you skip it. This expense mapping won't reflect the reality of your known expenses at all. Now we come to the longer term investment, longer term expenses, my apologies. Monthly, quarterly, yearly. People might argue why monthly expenses is a longer term is short. In my opinion, anything that come out of my pocket longer than a week, which is my pay cycle, I consider the longer term expenses because it's longer than my pay cycle. Basically, the reason why I count monthly, quarterly, and yearly as a long-term expense because we're gonna have to break them down into weekly figures, and then we will gonna take it out of our wages and salary that come in every week, because we want to know for sure what portion of the monthly, quarterly, yearly expenses that we have to save this week. What portion of our weekly money have to be allocated to those longer term expenses that we know for sure it would happen in the future. So my monthly expense pretty much loan and mortgage interest, the phone, and as I said, this expense mapping is just my income versus my expenses. So the phone bill is high because this is my phone plus the cables. I love watching cables like Foxtel. So I put that in as my compulsory expenses, even though it is luxurious item, but I just it's coming in, the money coming out every month, so it will be my monthly expenses. And then quarterly is gas, electricity, and water, and the yearly is the rate. And as I said, this is a mock number, and when you try to do your expenses at home after this video, if you feel like it, don't get the average number when you are calculating expenses. Get the maximum amount that you think you would pay. And for example, if your water bill is 64.30, just round up to the zero amount, becomes 70. The reason why I recommend you guys to round those expenses up, it is because you can have some fat into your expenses, just in case next quarter it goes over 64 and you only budgeted to 65, but the actual expenses that come out is 68. It means budgeting wise you already $3 short. So I usually round them up to zero figures. It is because, first of all, easier to calculate. Second of all, whatever you are calculating right now, as of today, there will be an inflation and CPI effect. So expenses increase all the time, regularly, without us realizing that increase, while the income seems to be stable. Think about it that way. It's good that you always have some fat in your expense anyway. Then my quarterly is a gas, electricity, water, and yearly is the rates. You probably noticed that I put all of the household expenses, the property related expenses, into my expenses mapping. It is just because I want to know if one day two incomes just become one income. You never know what will happen in the future, and what you want to know is if I happen to live in this house alone by myself, will that salary and wages that I earn a week can cover those upcoming expenses that will happen in the future. You actually want to know that too. That is the good thing of breaking it down into one single person income and list all the expense down. And if after we list all the expense, we break all monthly, quarterly, and yearly expenses into weekly figures. For monthly, this is the weekly figures of the monthly expenses. This $40 is a quarterly expenses in weekly figures, and yearly is $35. And if you notice that $1,500 a year for the council rates seems so high, and if you know that you can save $35 a week, then in a year you will have $1,500 to pay the yearly rate next year. It sounds better, isn't it? To save $35 a week, it is less effort. You need less effort than saving up $1,500 couple weeks before the bill due. And when it comes to the expense, I want you guys, I know most of you must be very good. I know my friend, I know my customers. So when you receive your bill, you make sure that you look at the bill that have the discount rate. Like in Australia, Energy Australia, they have the discount if you pay before due date. If you see that sort of discount due dates, pay before the discount due dates. Don't pay on the due dates, because when you pay at 9 o'clock on that day, that happened to me once with an electricity bills. What happened is the money came out the day after, and I ended up didn't get any discount, and I got the discount that I deducted on their behalf reversed to my account in the next quarter. It's not a lot of money, but if you save $2-3, that's a small cup of cappuccino. Is that correct? For all the coffee lovers? Well, that sounds so stingy, but anyhow, let's continue. That's me, that's my way of thinking, and that's how I try to survive, you know. We don't actually have the deep pockets. Not everyone born celebrity. So for me, I think if anything, I can save from my hard-earned money just because I pay the bills on time. I'm more than happy to do that. That's just the way I'm thinking. Alright, so now if you see any discount due date on your bills, make sure you pay it beforehand. It can be a day before or 2 days before, just so you can take advantage of those discount rates. Because you have to pay the bill eventually anyway. If you're gonna pay it early and you get some money saved, do it. And then now, after we list down all of our expense, then we just have to look into calculations. This is not hard. This is not hard at all. When it comes to calculation, it is pretty much like revenue, your income deducted by your expenses. That actually the money left over arithmetically in your wallet. That's how the numbers work. It's not a rocket science. You don't have to run an Excel spreadsheet to do that. This is not the Einstein version of running your own wallet. So to calculate it, you just start off with your income, the actual money that coming in a week. This is supposed to be the fixed number. Don't round your income up, because you don't know in the future if you will go up to that amount. Don't round your income up, use the actual figures, but round your expenses up. So then you add all the expenses up. Your weekly expense $200, your monthly expense $227, quarterly is $40, and yearly $35. So the total reduced weekly expenses is sitting at $502. After you deduct $600 with $502, you get $98 per week sitting in your bank account as a free cash. That is your money. You can use it in any way you want. You can go for a movie. You can go out for like, pamper yourself, Italian restaurant or Vietnamese restaurant or Thai restaurant. You can do whatever you want with that $98 a week. But if you have that $98 a week, you know for sure it's sitting in your bank account free for you to use, because that number 98 doesn't belong to any of those weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly expenses, right? So you can actually start breaking that down. You can probably say, well, I'm gonna save 10% of my income, which is $60 a week, because 10% of 600 is $60, right? And if you decide to do so, you know that you still have $38 left over for you to use just in case an emergency. So that's the amount that you know that you still have that left over to use. And if you want to actually break that down, like my niece or nephew's birthday is coming up and I actually want to buy them present, then you can have your own mini budgeting project, like saving up for any upcoming expenses that you will know, like buying someone's birthday present, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Nana's birthday. Just you can actually go ahead and start putting some money aside. And by doing so, by the time you actually have to buy something, you know you have spare cash in the pocket, and you know that you can use it comfortably. Because the last thing you want to do is to see on the calendar, oh my god, next month will be my dad's birthday. What can I do? I have to start saving now. Oh my gosh, in 2 weeks time I'm gonna have electricity bill coming up together with my council rate. Oh my god, and that's a big disaster. To live your life like that, in my opinion, if I have to live my life that way, I will be struggling to run my day. Because every day will be a day that you have to start thinking, oh, I have to save for this, I have to save for that. And by the time you buy the present, you probably don't have enough money to buy good present for the loved ones. But if you know, okay, I like this person, I want to put aside $200 for them, to buy them something nice, and then by the time you have that $200, only trouble you have to go through is just to go to the shopping center and buy it. There will be a tiny single thing that annoys you if you have to pay full price on those things, but you know that your parents or your loved ones will love it. Then that should be all good. Another thing is when someone's pregnant, you have to, in my culture, if someone's pregnant and if I know we have to give them present, if you know someone in your family actually pregnant and is about to have a baby, you get your 9 months to think about how much you want to spend for them and whatsoever, etc., etc. Then like if you, I don't think anything in life expense wise it will come up without us noticing it, except accident, health issue. These are only two things that I believe we can't control. But if we know that, if we know for sure that we have spare cash, why don't we actually save it now? And if something unpredictable happen in the future, then you know that you might not be 100% covered, but you are partially covered and you can rely on yourself. You don't have to run around and asking people if they have spare cash for you to borrow. That's the last thing I want to do. I don't want money to be a burden between my friend or my family. And I don't want money to be a burden in my life to stop me from doing things I like traveling. So what I'm thinking is like how I run my expenses and mapping out, reducing all the whole year known expenses into weekly expenses and match it with my weekly income. I think that's, in my opinion, is the best way that I can control my expenses. And then how it comes to the next question, how often should we do this? We should, like for me, I used to be pretty disciplined. I used to do it yearly in my own little mini books, but I haven't done it for almost 2 years now, I have to tell you. But I just jot it down and keep track of things that I have to spend. It is because I have a lot on my plate lately, but I will hopefully I will go back to the same track again in the future once all the ad hoc in my life got dissolved. Actually, that's all I want to share with you in this video, and it's actually not that hard to do. And the good thing of expense mapping, in my opinion, is that if you notice that any part of your expenses getting higher than last year or the year before, then you can start looking into cutting it down. Like if you do it regularly, yearly or every 2 years, if you keep track of it also, you will see that you're supposed to save more per week from your earned income. Because if you work in a company for a year or 2 years, or if you change the job, you expect your salary to go higher, right? You expect to get more income from changing jobs, or you expect to get pay rise when you actually start work, when you actually be with the company for a year or so. Like if you get pay rise, mean you are doing the right thing. But if you have been with the company for a year, 2 years and 3 years and never have any rise, you should start thinking of, what am I doing here? Inflation gone up, expenses gone up, why am I still get the same pay? It's either company can't afford you anymore, or it is your performance at work. Well, that is all up to you. You have to think about it. Basically, every year you should see your savings grow. that saving should grow because you're supposed to earn more money. And when you earn more money, if you can control your expense at the same level, you even have extra money in your pocket. Yeah, and then and if you actually do the whole process that I actually show you, you won't see the difference when you actually first start doing it. But when it comes to the tax time, you will actually notice that the tax money is also additional free cash coming into your pocket. That tax money, if you have been working hard, then you get your tax back like $2,000. That's you can actually what you can do for $2,000. You might be able to buy the new computer or traveling overseas. I think 2,000 should be able to take you somewhere outside Australia, or pay the car loan or education fund, HECS or help. See that's it for this video. Yeah, that's pretty simple, and I'm pretty sure that what I actually break them all down is something easy for everyone to follow. This is what I've been doing, or I've been trying to do. And anyhow, if I can do it, once again, if I can do it, y'all can do too. So it's not hard. It just need a bit of the jotting down, and need a bit of keeping a records. If you love Excel, you can actually put it in your spreadsheet and keep track on it. But if you are like me, the paper person, very simple, non-technical, just jot it down on the whiteboard or a piece of paper and put it on your desk. From time to time, on your annual leave, nothing to do, take that paper out, start writing down what's happening with you then, and then compare what's the change, what's the movement. And then you will see, oh, I'm spending too much on this one now, this thing increase. Oh, how can I reduce that? Oh, if I have been driving to work too much, should I think about changing the transportation methods by taking the bus instead to save the fuel? Or car getting old, maintenance getting higher, should I change a new car? Should it be the time to swap to the new car? Or, well, car insurance. I don't drive, so I save a lot on car expenses, just so you know. For car expenses, I know that the registration or ratio goes up, or insurance goes up every year. If the rates go up in acceptable level, that's fine. But if you start writing down and you see a big change, you might think, well, is it time to actually ring around to the other suppliers and ask for quotes? I think that's how you manage your expenses efficiently, because at the end of the day, you don't want to pay premiums on just an ordinary service suppliers providing to you. You pay for what you get. That's my belief. I am happy to pay for the reasonable value or pay for what I get, but I don't like paying too much for the minimal services. I always refuse to do that. And when you swap from one company to another company in terms of car, I saw my partner did it all the time. He always asks like, oh, I've been using this brand, I've been paying this much. How much do I have to pay with you? He just straight away asking for the discount. No point to ask for the discount when before you enter into a contract with your supplier. like mobile phone, car expenses. Only thing you can't negotiate is gas, electricity, water, and rates, because that's what we have to pay and that's what others are paying too. But with the other expenses in life, if you think you are paying too much, you are entitled to ask for the discount. But don't just go to a small lady who's selling just 2 roses and ask like, oh, 2 roses are $10 or $5. Can you give me a discount? That's not fair, you know, like if you want to help people out, help people out. But something big and it can accumulate it and become a bigger expense, you need a discount. And what I find is that, you know, I've been with Vodafone since they were 3. I was with 3 since I landed here, and then 3 got taken over by Vodafone. I might be wrong, I don't know that. Don't count my words on that. Then now I was forced to change to Vodafone, and now I'm still with Vodafone. But every 2-3 years, once my phone contract finish, I always ring up their call center. No. First of all, I Google online first and see how much I have to pay if I want this contract with this phone. Then I go to the store looking for exactly the same thing, and then I ring online and I ask them, I'm actually looking into getting this phone in this plan, and I saw in store and on your website it said that this is gonna cost me X amount a month. And then the next question I ask them, is it the best rate you can do for me? Because it's good to ask anyway, and I can say to them, well, from your record, I've been your customer for a very long time. If you can do something with me, or if you can do just a tiny favor for me, I'm more than happy to do it. Most of the time with Vodafone, I love Vodafone, don't get me wrong, I love them. I love their phone. Service is alright, I never have any issues. And they always give me the more data a month, which I got right now, and I'm so happy. And I got a longer international call, so I can call my families and friends overseas. And for some reason, I am now in the contract that actually cheaper than what they advertised on the website. Because when it comes to the phone, I don't want this to turn to be a phone review. I don't want this to turn to be a phone plan review, I should say. But you know, for me, the telephone company, they are selling air. Only thing we take home with us is this little thing. This little phone is the one that we take home with us. But I need a phone, I need mobile phone, but I don't want to spend too much for the signal in the air. Yeah, and if you negotiate, if you start negotiate, you will be surprised that most of the supplier, they are willing to give you just a little bit of a discount, because that discount is actually gonna make them have less profit. It won't make them go broke. So yeah, that's the tip, and I don't want to drag this video for any longer than this, and I don't want to start talking about the phone plan and how to save up on any other things. It can be in the other videos if I feel like it and if I think it's beneficial for you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching until now. It's almost 40 minutes. I think I better let you go. Enjoy a lovely weekend out there. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and if you have any something you would like to share, feel free to do it. I'm happy to hear any feedbacks from anyone, even though I don't know you at all. And if anything I said in this video is not correct, my apologies in advance. This is actually from my thought and my experience, and I thought it is the best way for me to run the weekly and monthly, quarterly, and yearly incomes versus expenses. You can disagree with that, it's okay, but if you have any other different ways to share, let me know, and please be nice to me, and forgive me if I say anything wrong, and forgive me if my English is hard to understand, and thank you for watching. Having a great weekend and see you next time. Bye for now.